Yo guys, we're back with a new what if, and this what if is what if Naruto had Sako's quirk, or what if Naruto had Mr.Compresses quirk. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the what if. Now, we start off with the Nine Tails attack, or a little before that, when Minato and Kushina are having their child. Now in this timeline, the ability to use Mr. Compresses quirk is not a quirk. It's actually a Keke Genkai. It happens when a Namikaze and Uzumaki kind of merge, and you guys know what I mean. All right, right? And their child, gets this power. And since the Namikaze, literally, Minato is the last Namikaze, or one of the last, or his parents were the last, or that's what he thought. Now, they'd be discussing Naruto's powers, or not his powers, but they know what his powers are gonna be. So they're writing down everything they can from his parents because they had the power as well, and now they're kind of like dead, quote unquote. So yeah. After this, they'd write down all the abilities or all you can do with the power, and if they ever die, they can literally just basically keep it for Naruto, and it would be like not a heirloom, but a way for him to learn how to use his newfound abilities. Now, the Nine Tails attack would still take place with Kushina having Naruto, Obito attacking. Minato would still slam a Rasengan into his back. After Minato would finish taking on Obito, he would then summon Gamabunta to jump on Kurama's head, and he would then have to teleport the Biju Dama towards another part of the outside of the village, pretty much. Now, after this, Minato would head towards the Nine Tails, where he would still get stabbed. Him and Kushina would still get stabbed defending Naruto, or trying to save Naruto. And they would unfortunately still in this timeline die. Now, after this, when Naruto's death became a thing, the village was in shambles. Without their fourth Hokage, what are they gonna do? Like, Kakashi is still young, any of the prodigies are still young. Hiruzen is pretty old, and he has to come back to be Hokage. Everything is in ruins, and now they have to worry about who's gonna take over to take care of Naruto. Well, they didn't have to worry about that anymore. One day when they were discussing further, like maybe the 10th day of discussing who's gonna take care of Naruto, two people would walk in, and they would look similar to Minato and Kushina. That it kind of, the elders themselves saying, is that you, Minato, Kushina? And it'd be like, nonsense. We don't look like we don't look like Minato. And then they'd say that they're gonna take care of Naruto. Saying that they're Minato's parents, pretty much, and that they'll take care of Naruto until he becomes a ninja. Hokage would pretty much not have anything to go against this, and he would say, "Yeah, go ahead." And Naruto would grow up with his grandparents for the next 12 years, learning his abilities, and pretty much that would be pretty much it. I know I'm saying pretty much a lot. Naruto would one day be around 6 years old, and he'd be walking around, and a tree would he was in a forest, and since his grandparents kind of do live in a deep forest, and he would be in the forest where he would just be walking by, and one of the trees were like about to fall, and it did fall. It was coming straight for Naruto. Naruto's putting his hands up, trying to find a way to lessen the damage he's about to, get. But for some reason, when he looked up, the tree turned into a blue marble. He was pretty confused how this happened, and he picked up the marble, and it felt like he wanted to, he put the marble back down, and he says he just wanted the tree to be back again. After this, the marble will not be a marble anymore. It would turn back into the tree itself, and that would pretty much how Naruto would figure out his powers. He would tell his grandparents this, and his grandparents would act oblivious and saying, "Oh, you must have some unique Keke Tota or something like that." Since they can't tell him that about his parents. They don't. He's a little too young. After this, they would train him for the next. I said he was 6, so the next 6 years, learning how to actually control this sealing jutsu. They would say it was, and Naruto would start to learn the arts of sealing, not like perfect sealing, but he would still be able to be pretty good at it, better than the usual Anbu, since the Anbu have to learn at least basic Funjutsu. So Naruto learned a little more than what Anbu usually learn. After this, Naruto would pretty much, after the 12 years, would pretty much put on the compressed outfit, and he'd be ready to go. Now, after this, Naruto would say goodbye to his grandparents after, like at the village gate after they're dropping him off, and they told him, they'd give him a key. Naruto would be like, "What's this?" Uh, they would say it's just a house we got for you, and he would be like, "Oh, really? Are you sure you want to give me a house? I'm only one person." So they would say, "Nonsense. You deserve it." After that, they would say goodbye and walk off into the distance. Um, Naruto would then turn around and verify that he's actually Naruto Uzumaki. He would meet up with, he would then, head over to the house they're talking about. And on his way there, he would meet somebody because he was kind of lost. This is his first time there. He would meet some person in green spandex and bushy eyebrows. He would say, "Hey, excuse me." This person he asked would be none other than Rock Lee. Now Rock Lee would turn around and be like, "Oh, hello." Um, he would say hello and then wait for a pause, waiting for Naruto to introduce himself. Naruto would be like, "Oh, my apologies. My name's Naruto Uzumaki." And he would, tip his hat in a respectful way. After this, Naruto Uzumaki in your service, basically, it would say. Lee wouldn't be phased by this, since, bro, let's not forget what Lee does, bro. Bro's like the power of youth or something like that. I think he says that, or it's Guy. It's like, Guy Sensei, Lee. But other than that, I would say, I'm kind of new to this village, so can you show me where this address is? He would then show him where the house is, and Lee would say, "Oh, that house. Just head straight for a kilometer or two with all your energy of youth, and then turn right with even more energy of youth, and then you should probably see it to the left." After this, Naruto would sweat drop at Lee's enthusiasm, and he would then just say he would thank him before walking off. When he would basically walk into the house after putting the key into the door, he would open it and, damn, it's kind of big. Like, this whole house itself is big. But for some reason, there was already furniture here, but nobody even lived here. That's the thing that confused him. He looked around the house for footsteps or, scents, but nobody was here for years. So he thought it was pretty good. Like nobody lived here. After this, he would unpack his bags and put them in drawers and something like that. And after a long day of unpacking, his stomach would rumble. He says, "Oh my, I think I'm hungry." He doesn't think he's hungry. He knows he's hungry. So he's like, he would get the money that his grandparents have gave him over the years, and he was just saving up. From one, he gained a lot of money doing magic tricks. Like, not a lot, but a little bit for a kid. It's a lot for a kid. And since his quirk, in a sense, was a very good quirk for to be a magician or something like that, and that's where he got most of the money from. So after this, Naruto would go outside his door and walk around looking for some great place to eat. He would then catch a scent. What do I smell? When I'm smelling, it's just straight buzzing. After this, he would just keep sniffing until he found a stand. It's called Ichiraku Ramen. Maybe I should try it out. He would then pretty much open the fold and walk in, into which he'd be like, "Hello, young customer," something like that. He says, "Hello, I'm kind of new here. What would you recommend I would order?" To which he would go over the menus, the item, and the menu, and say, "I recommend you get the miso ramen." And Naruto would be like, "I'll wear a bet." He would then order the ramen, and he would say that ititakimasu. And then he would eat. Now, when he ate his first bite, it was like, it was pretty good. Nah, it wasn't just good. Pretty good is just an understatement. Since ramen is straight bussing on Kizzy. Nah, just kidding. But basically he would eat the ramen and like his eyes would pretty much like light up and be like, "This is so good." After this, he would pretty much eat like 15 bowls since Uzumaki's can eat a lot. And after that, he would pay the bill and tip like 20, whatever is 20% of how much he paid. I'm not trying to do the math there. Uh, After this, he would leave, and he would head back to his house, and he'd realize it was nighttime, so maybe he should go to sleep. He would then head over to his house and realize he wasn't really that tired, so he would spend the next night, or like a few hours at least, training seals and reading some books before he would finally fall asleep. After this, Naruto would wake up the next day and head over to the Hokage's tower. He'd walk in, like, Lord Hokage, I kind of came here yesterday, and I was wondering, when's the process on becoming a ninja, and when can that take place? Uh, After this, Hiruzen would tell him that the ninja exams are tomorrow, and if you want to participate, you can. And Naruto would be like, "Oh, for sure." Nah, just kidding. But he would still say like, "Thank you, Lord Hokage." After this, Naruto would head out the Hokage's office and head over to a training ground. Now, this training ground would be Training Ground 7. Now, he would basically go there and start training how to. He would basically just be sealing stuff into marbles, pretty much trying to extend his endurance on using this Uzumaki Kagegenkai Kaketoto, even though it's a quirk. After this, Naruto would pretty much train the rest of the day, and like around 5 p.m., you would see someone walking toward him in the distance. He would look up, and it'd be a man with gravity-defying hair, gravity-defying silver hair, headband over his eye, and looks like a Jonin outfit with the Uzumaki clan symbol on it. After this, this would be identified as Kakashi. Kakashi would say, "Are you Naruto Uzumaki?" Naruto would say, "Yeah, Naruto Uzumaki, at your service." He would then bend his head over and lift his hat up, basically in like a modernized fashion, as Mr.Compresses would introduce himself as. Kakashi would be pretty appalled by Naruto's introduction, but he would quickly dismiss it, and he would tell him, "Oh, so you're in my team?" Or I don't know. No, he would say that to himself basically. Kakashi would say, "So what are you doing here?" Or if you don't mind me asking. Naruto would say, "I'm basically just training pretty much. I've been training my Kekkei Genkai pretty much all day." Kakashi would say, "Oh, what's your Kekkei Genkai?" He says, Naruto would say, "Oh, it's an Uzumaki Namikaze thing. It's basically where I can seal anything into a marble, and I can unseal things in a marble, and I can use those things to seal into a marble to help me in battles, pretty much." So over the time, he had definitely sealed a sword into his marble. So like anytime he wanted to fight, just pop the marble out, unseal the sword. There it is, ready to go. And this could be really good if he was infiltrating and they're like really checking your bags or checking if you snuck anything in, because they would be less suspicious of a marble than a sword. So yeah. After this, Kakashi would be like, "That's pretty useful. This boy would be pretty good in the Anbu. But I don't know. The Anbu seems a little dark. Even I wasn't comfortable with it, even though I've gone through some stuff." After this, Kakashi would say, "That's pretty good power, if I do say so myself." And Naruto would say, "Oh, yeah, but shouldn't you introduce yourself? I don't know you." Kakashi would say, "Oh, forgive me. My name's Kakashi Hatake." Naruto would say, "Oh yeah, one of the best jonin in the village. Yeah, I've read up on you." Kakashi said, "Oh, you have. So what have you heard about me?" Naruto would say, "I heard that's how you got your Sharingan, and how you became the copy ninja that we know today, that the village leaf knows, and today and the whole world itself knows. Basically, you fought in the Third Great Ninja War, and during the Third Great Ninja War, one of your teammate died, and his name was Obito Uchiha, and he gave you your Sharingan, and you basically used it as during the war to gain your nickname." After this, Kakashi would nod and say, "Yeah, that's pretty much it." After this, they would pretty much talk around an hour before Naruto would say, "I'm heading home, but I guess I'll see you later." Kakashi would wave back, and Naruto would walk towards his home. It would be a pretty good distance away, so he can get some thinking for the tomorrow's exam, or the exam to become a ninja. Now, after he would head home, Naruto would go to sleep, and he would wake up the next day getting ready for becoming ninja, putting on his drip. But the what's it called? The Mr.Compressed drip, just without the hat and the mask, since he's not on a mission, so he doesn't really need it. Now, after this, Naruto would head out, making some marbles on what he needs, like sealing it into some marbles. Basically, Naruto's marbles are basically sealing scrolls. And yeah, Naruto would head over to the academy, and he would walk in, and nobody would really say anything since, number one, they don't know him, and everyone would walk up to him and say, "Hey, what's your name?" Naruto would be like, Naruto would kind of like tip his head down and say, take off his hat, say, "Naruto Uzumaki at your service. How may I assist you today?" They would then start bombarding him with questions like, who are you? How did you get here? When did we basically know you and all? Now, after this, Naruto would answer them one by one, telling them that he's actually new to the village and he wanted to become a ninja. After this, everyone would not fawn over him, but they would pretty much respect him. Not too much, but we saw how the academy students like to switch up a lot. After this, Naruto would sit next to Sasuke, like per usual, and he'd basically just wait. After this, Sakura would come in and basically start racing towards Sasuke, since I don't know why, girls in Naruto, not really understandable, so I don't even make me want to repeat that. They would see that Naruto's sitting there, and since this is not the same Naruto they know, the Naruto Baka, they would basically just find a new seat. Since number one, Naruto looked intimidating, and I don't know, they're pretty weak, so they wouldn't really know the difference in power. After this, Iruko would walk in and basically tell them that they're doing the graduation exams today, and he says that there's a new student today. Naruto would walk up and introduce himself like any other new student would do at their new school. Now, Iruka would hand over all the exams for the written portion of the exam. Now, Mizuki, not knowing Naruto and not knowing that he's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki since he's been out of the village for 12 years, wouldn't try to make him steal the scroll of sealing. Now, Naruto would sit down, quickly write some answers down, and around 15 minutes he would finish, and he would walk over to Iruka and hand him the paper. Iruka would quickly skim over and realize that all of the answers are right, and he would congratulate Naruto. Not congratulate, but thank you for submitting your test. Naruto would go back to his seat and put his head down, and not his head. Yeah, he would put his head down, but not sleep. He would then look outside the window and look at the scenery. After this, everyone would finish their writing portion of the test before Iruka and Mizuki would tell everyone to head out to the background training ground. Basically the backyard of the schoolyard. After this, they'd start a series of tests like obstacle courses, throwing kunais, throwing shurikens, and Naruto would excel at this, getting 9 out of 10, like for the kunais and shurikens, or at least 10 out of 10, and he can easily just get past the obstacle course by using his mastered parkour, I guess you can say. And Naruto would excel in these, being number one, and Sasuke being the close number two. Now they'd start the sparring, and it'd obviously be Naruto versus Sasuke. The other fights would pretty much go the same, like Shikamaru versus Choji. Shikamaru would surrender, or Choji would surrender. I can't remember who surrendered. And other fights like that going similar to canon. After this, Naruto and Sasuke's fight would start with Iruka saying, using the Hajime sign, saying start. Sasuke would run towards Naruto and start to get into a taijutsu battle. Naruto in the middle be like, oh, interesting taijutsu. That's what I expect from the Chiha clan. But their taijutsu styles aren't that good. Naruto would then basically punch Sasuke, sending him flying back, sliding against the floor. And after this, Naruto would straight up show them the difference in power. And after he whooped him a little bit, whooped Sasuke, he would then basically seal Sasuke into the marble. He would show everyone marble. See, look, this is a magic trick. This is what Sasuke became, a marble. Now he unsealed the marble, and there was Sasuke basically looking traumatized, and everyone in Iruka would be surprised at Naruto's power, and Iruka would basically say, Naruto Uzumaki has won, and this would pretty much mark the end of the graduation exams, with Naruto being number one of the academies out of all the Konoha 12. Now, this is where I'll be leaving off part 1 of What If Naruto had Mr.Compresses Quirk. Now, I know I didn't really go over much, but I'm trying to keep things shorter. Like, I got some advice from Phoenix, what ifs, and he's pretty much telling me how to try to keep my what ifs a little longer. I'm not trying to just have 3-part what ifs or 4 parts. I'm trying to have like maybe 6, 7. And my 200 sub special will include Phoenix signing in my what if, like we're doing a feature. But other than that, guys, peace out.